Inside, I'm scared that I might just suffer alone until I die. I'm far from the light, there's no one inside, and I don't know how to feel right. How did I get like this? I'm a failure to coexist lately. Nobody knows me best like I know my lonely, know my loneliness. Severing ties, and I don't know why. I'm watching the days roll into nights. It's never the time, I guess that is fine. I'm stuck in a fragile state of mind. Reset, it might be the season. I'm caught in a feeling I can't shake now. It's not any secret, I struggle to speak up. I think I'm out here, someone save me. How did I get like this? I'm a failure to coexist lately. Nobody knows me best like I know my lonely, know my lonely. I was waiting on the right time to be honest and talk about everything, but then someone told me there's no right time, just now, just now. This is all I've got, give it one more shot. Now I know next time things fall apart. This is all I've got, give it one more shot. If I mess things up, I'll just reset. How did I get like this? I'm a failure to coexist lately. Nobody knows me best like I know my lonely, know my
Some things never seem to change, and every day I stay the same. Moonlight swelling through the trees, it never seems to wane. Sometimes I feel like I'm a silhouette, like my imitation leads me towards regret. Sometimes I wish that we had never met. I'm faking every step, stealing all the breath out of my lungs. Got me in the dark, speaking in tongues. Tell me, when did this stop being fun? We're undone and uncomfortably numb. You're stealing all the breath out of my lungs. Got me in the dark, speaking in tongues. Tell me, when did this stop being fun? We're undone and uncomfortably numb.
Yo, 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 what is going on, y'all? Welcome back to the So Shed. It's been a bit. it's been a little bit since we done this thing. But I figured, you know what? It's Thursday night. It's rainy, it's wet, it's cold. Why not fire up ye old stream and chat with folks for a little bit? A lot of interesting things going on in the world, but how are all y'all? OIG, how you doing, man? It's good to see ya. Hope you're well. I actually don't have anything to sew tonight because I need to get fabric stuffs. Like, I'm running extremely low on the things. I've got a little bit of webbing, I got a little bit of Velcro here and there, but I don't have a ton to work with right now. And so we're getting through, you know, all the... How is the volume, by the way? Mic volume okay? Audio okay? I feel like maybe we take the volume up a little bit. Yo, what's up, Trojans? Hello. How are you doing? Fine on my end? Hey, yo, Steph! Hello. How are you? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome to the So Shed. It's different, but it's good. How are you hanging in there, Steph? Trojans, how are you doing? It's good to see y'all. We are currently fam is good. Our little minions are our oldest is getting to that age where the attitude's starting to kick in, where they think they're smarter than we are. So that's been a little challenging. And our youngest doesn't want to do school. Our 6-year-old is very rambunctious. No idea where they get that from. And and so getting them to settle down, like they actually do. He actually does school better at night. And we've had him reading his books at night because he's just so jazzed in the morning that getting him to sit down and hold still long enough to do school has been fun. Oldest just turned 10 in January, which is like, what? You're a decade old and I'm a decade older? When did this happen? And why? Oh, it's crazy. Getting ready for bed. I am this is gonna be a fairly short-ish stream, hour and a half maybe, because I do have work in the morning and I want to make sure that I'm getting rest. The flu has been going around down here horribly. Everybody I knew or everybody I know it has been sick in the last month in one way or another. So I have been really trying hard not to get sick. So I was sick in early January and I still haven't really gotten rid of the cough still catches me sometimes, which is absolutely bonkers. I've never had something hold on for that long. But I mean, that hasn't stopped me from getting outside and prepping the greenhouse, starting to work in the garden. Tonight I was supposed to sharpen chainsaw chains, got completely sidetracked, pulling my brother out of the pasture because he got stuck in the mud because it has been raining. It's literally been just absolutely soaking everything for the past 3 days, and should have got the COVID vaccine and been okay in 2 days. Yeah, yep, totally, definitely should have done that. What up, Solito? How are you, brother? It's good to see you, man. So yeah, we've been out trying to get the greenhouse set. We've been out trying to prep the garden. Starts are started. We've got a couple of trays of starts at our house. We got a couple of trays of starts at the in-laws house, and so it's not going to be long, and we're going to be putting stuff in the ground, which is kind of wild. And then what else have we had going on? I have been trying to train in this, just getting out, patrolling the property, and getting used to wearing kit, because it's not something that I've done a lot of in the past, but it's something that I find value in, being able to carry an extra 25 pounds on me and still be able to run and move and function and do all the things. So I've been getting out doing that when I can. If y'all aren't following along on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or any of those places, make sure you do that, because I've been giving updates daily, trying to do daily updates, which has been hit or miss with everything that has been going on. We've got baseball starting. Bad eating habits got me used to carrying an extra 25. Yes, me as well. But I have actually been trying to eat only whole foods, which is really, really challenging to only eat whole foods. And by whole foods, I'm also talking about like peanut butter, which I know isn't exactly a whole food, but it's like peanuts, and it's like peanuts and a little tiny bit of sugar and some oil of some sort. So apples and peanut butter is kind of a staple for me. I don't want to give that up. But eggs and cheese, I usually have 4 eggs in the morning, and I usually throw cheese and a little bit of seasoning on that. And then I've been having Greek yogurt and whole granola and stuff like that. I literally going to China this next year. One of the reasons was so I could get unaddicted to all the processed crap. It is hard. It is really hard to shop only the outside of the store and to not just be sucked into, it's an addiction. Straight up. It is an addiction. Sugar, the amount of sugar in everything, and the amount of hydrogenated seed oils in everything is absolutely bonkers. Trying to rid yourself of all of that can be very challenging. For sure. Steph, how goes the job hunt? We haven't got caught up on that. How have the streams been? How is life? I feel like we haven't chatted at all. Very little things have sugar, and what does it's yeah, exactly. Dude, oh my gosh, high fructose corn syrup. Don't get me started on that. I think there's a lot of folks that are massively dehydrated, regardless of how much water you drink, just because the minerals that our food used to have, they no longer have it, even whole foods. I've actually been doing a lot of research on trying to figure out what kind of multivitamin / what minerals should I be trying to intake. I will do a few pinches of Celtic sea salt in a small cup of water, and I will down that in the mornings sometimes. I'm not super consistent with it, but I try and, you know, every other day make sure that I'm doing that so that I can hopefully get some of the minerals that I'm lacking, as well as absorb more of the water that I drink. Because I try really hard to get 2 of these 40 ounces in a day, which isn't technically enough, because I think you're supposed to do what, half your body weight or full body weight in water. So I don't think I'm getting enough. Ordering either pizza or getting Chick-fil-A. See, and like, so we ordered half a cow 4 months ago. And we've been trying to eat at home pretty much primarily. I mean, there's definitely times like we're getting ready to launch, we're getting ready to launch into baseball season. And so, we are definitely going to be eating out. There's no way around it, especially because I'm coaching 6U baseball. So first time coach, and they threw me into a head coach position on my youngest son's team. And so, I know that there's going to be nights where we just like, we're going to go from work to practice. Like, if we're going to get anything, it's going to be something on the way to the ball field in between work and practice. There's just, yo, what's up, Fane? Okay, hang on. Sir Fane, I look familiar. Probably look familiar. I used to be called something different. I used to roll in these parts of the internet by a different name. Do you know what it is the question. And how are you? Welcome to the So Shed, which is a really hard change from the dad cave. I'll give you a little hint. Nom noms, yo! Heck yeah, welcome to the So Shed. Good to have you. How are you? How's your evening going? We were just talking about how hard it is. Legit looked you up like 2 weeks ago. So you have no frame of reference for my previous... Oh, old you. Okay. You looked up the old me. Finding the old me is probably not as difficult as I hope it is. Probably not as difficult as I hope it is, but we have moved on from the video game realm. As you can see, we have started actually creating products. As Rick Tactical, rooted in Christ Tactical. And so yeah, we've man, I haven't played a video game in a long time. It's been a while. I've been so busy. I've been so busy between church and serving at church, the boys' sports. Although the last couple months, like we ended baseball in November, end of November, had December and January off, and now we're into February going back into baseball. They take it very serious down here in the South. So between church and ball, full-time work, and having a homestead where we take care of our chickens and have a garden and preserve food and mill our own wood and do all those things, I don't have time for it anymore. Not the way that I used to. So yeah, we've kind of morphed into a different entity, if you will. I also take 2 multivitamin chews every day. Yeah, I need to find a I need to find a multivitamin that works for me. I had seen something about methylated multivitamins. I have to do more research on that. I'm not sure exactly what the difference is. That's amazing, Nom Noms. Isn't it just absolutely dumbfounding how he works through and in us? It's the older I get, the more I look back and I can see the way that he has guided my steps. It's incredible. Getting the opportunity to share the gospel with others is something that I feel like gets taken for granted here in the States compared to other places in the world. So I find that can be challenging. You know, Nom Noms, welcome on in. Thank you for becoming a part of the So Shed. But yeah, it's an interesting journey, that's for sure. Full of ups and downs. We actually we had our small group last night, and we're walking through the book of Revelation right now, which we've kind of been playing in the kiddie pool so far. We've been in chapter 1 the last few weeks, and so it's a lot of introduction and that stuff. We're getting to the point where we're going to start to really hit home on some of the more challenging aspects of Revelation. So I'll be interested to see where the pastoral team takes it. But it's been a lot of fun. Back to multivitamins. What have you found that taking a multivitamin, Trojans, has helped with your energy and with your just how you feel during the day? Because my big thing is, and it could just be the season of life that I'm in, where we've got 2 very rambunctious, busy boys, and we've got a busy schedule, and it can be really easy to get lost in that. I found that I'm just more tired than normal. I found that I just feel exhausted even after I've gotten a good night's sleep. I feel exhausted. I don't think I like this one. I don't know if I'm gonna like this one either. I guess we'll see. But yeah, it's been an interesting few weeks, to say the least. I feel like ever since we got back from Christmas, because we usually travel back to my parents, back to my hometown, and I feel like ever since we've gotten back, we've just been like out of sorts. And I don't know if it's all the changes with all the politics that are going on, and like I've been trying to keep track just because there's been a lot of changes happening very, very quickly. So I've been trying to keep track without getting too sucked down the rabbit hole of letting myself get caught up in all of the changes and let that cause anxiety, because you know, we're called to rest in the Lord as Christians, and so I do my best to, you know, make sure that I have my focus in the proper place when it comes to keeping my anxiety under control. Because it can be very, very easy if you spend any amount of time on social media or watching. I don't watch the news because I think that's shenanigans. I don't think the news does anyone any good. But it can be really easy to get caught up in all the hubbub around the politics, and I don't know, there's trying to leave it in his hands, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. That's what I've been trying to do. Realizing that he's in control regardless of who's in control, and just resting in that goodness, resting in that power, right? I don't think I caught Steph's response. I think I missed it. It's kind of a bummer. Fane, how did you come across me? I'm gonna apologize in advance because I don't recognize the name. How did you come across the DGG moniker, or looked up the old you? A raid one time? Okay. All right. Who'd you come in with? Solito, what you got going on, man? No way! Oh my gosh, I haven't seen Shark in an age. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm gonna have to look Shark up. I have not really even been on Twitch at all. Like my content consumption has been primarily centered around learning how to sew, or like learning how to do things around the farm. That's been my primary focus. He just had surgery on his back. Oh geez, what happened? Yikes, that don't sound good. Man, I gotta find... That's awesome. Been playing Phasmo and Fortnite, huh? Gosh, Fortnite, what a blast from the past. My kids actually came across some of my video game content from back in the day, and we were no accident, just back. Oh man, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. I will add Shark to the prayer list. Yeah, that's no bueno. My wife actually has arthritis, has since she's been 18. So I have to actually give her a shot every couple of weeks. So I definitely feel that whole, like, just, you feel your body is just broken and it sucks. Like, I've gotten my complaints are much less than hers. I've gotten to a point where, like, I've got just weird aches that'll pop up. Like, I twisted my knee doing, I had been training, and I twisted my knee while I was running in full kit, and I was like out for 2 weeks. I didn't run for like 2 weeks because I could barely even bend my knee. And I'm like, what happened? I used to play football and, like, I'd get banged up every day, and I was back out there. Like, getting old sucks. Getting old is a reality. But I'm still getting out there trying to like do stuff because I don't want to get in the mentality of getting old sucks. Like, I don't mentally want to let myself go there because I know that it will just keep going downhill if I let myself piss and moan about getting old. Like, yeah, I'm getting old, but I better stay in shape because I don't know what the world has in store for us over the next decade, but I have a feeling it's going to be chaos. And so I'm going to do my best to stay in as good a shape as I possibly can. Because I want to be around for my kids graduating high school and getting married and, you know, those milestones. I'd love to see grandchildren and all that kind of stuff. And I just, it can be so easy. The world tells you you're getting old and it can be easy to believe them. But God also gave us amazing bodies that biologically do things that still don't make sense to us. Like, as advanced as medicine has gotten, there are some just like raw truths that we've fallen away from, especially in Western culture. Like grounding, for instance, taking your bare feet and just putting it in the dirt. There is something to that because you just feel better when you walk around in bare feet on the ground. Spending time listening to the nature around you is incredibly meditative. It has this odd effect of just experiencing the world he built around us in a way that I feel like you're never going to get in the city. And that's like, I'm grateful for living in the country because I can go and walk my back 20 and just be, which is pretty awesome. And I don't know, there's something about our bodies that, like, they're just amazing. I don't want to call them machines, but they're just incredible. They do incredible things, the way they can heal. And the way we were knitted together is just phenomenal. It really is. But I will make sure to add Shark. I will make sure to add Shark to the prayer list. Nom Noms, you got to tell me about the surreal experience that you had. You got to tell me about the experience there. So OAG, you talked about going. Are you actually going to China? Like, what part of China are you going to? I can't tell if that. I don't know if that would be absolutely terrifying to me or what the deal is. Salito, what you got going on this week? I have no idea where that is. Is that somewhere near Beijing? Is that like a remote area of China? I'm gonna have to like Google Map this. Speaking of Google Maps, did y'all see that thing? Did you see the Gulf of Mexico is now the Gulf of America on Google Maps? That's just oh, it's crazy. Okay, let's see here. Well, that looks like a city-ish area. Oh, holy heck. Wait, is that a country within a country? I realize that I know nothing about China. Okay, there's... So my sister-in-law is originally from Hong Kong, which is south of that place. How do you say that? Changsha? I'm probably butchering that. Okay, so Shanghai is not quite directly east. Wow, it's like, I knew China was big, but I did not actually realize how big China actually is. And Beijing's way north. Holy heck. Wowza. Oh, Beijing's like nestled almost in the mountains. Dead center, 6 million plus people. It's like America, but everyone is shorter. Did you just stereotype that? Is that actually a thing? That's probably a thing, isn't it? I wonder why that is. Why would that be? Like, is China closer to the center of the earth, so like gravity takes its toll as they're growing and they just don't get as tall? Or like, what is the physical manifestation of why they're shorter than the average American? Just pure genetics. Cultural genetics, we'll call it. Would that be an accurate statement? Cultural genetics? I'm gonna ask for forgiveness for my ignorance. Just because. Like, what's the explanation for sumo wrestlers? Are they just like genetic anomalies in Asian culture? And like I realize I'm like probably lumping Asian culture all together with that statement, which is why I asked for forgiveness for my ignorance before I asked the question. Lots of rice. But like, is that actually a thing? Or do they consume like lots of fish too, or something? Is it really just boatloads of rice? Like they bring boats in with rice in them and they just eat whole boats of rice to get there? Look at the calorie intake of a sumo wrestler. It's got to be huge. It's got to be 6,000 calories. What is it? 6,000 calories of rice, huh? I feel like you'd get bored of that, right? Like, wouldn't you get bored of eating rice all the time? That being said, I have been eating 4 eggs every morning for the past year. I guess I haven't gotten bored of that yet. How do you train for being a sumo wrestler, though? Like, do you lift weights? Like lifting really heavy things? Or do you just literally just practice running into other people? Because like they run into each other and grab each other by the whatever that thing is and try and toss them, right? Like that's sumo wrestling. I've never actually watched sumo wrestling, but I've seen it in the movies. And as I say that, I kind of realize that, you know, depictions of the movies are often fake. So take that for what it's worth. Like suppressors, for instance. Everyone thinks they call them silencers in the movie. You put a suppressor on a gun and suddenly you can't hear it. That is a complete false statement. Like, there's so much wrong with that. Like, my AR is barely hearing safe, which means 120 decibels. It's barely hearing safe with a suppressor on there. They're so full of crap when it comes to the things they ban and the why they ban them. It's dumb. Internet says they are smaller than average because of the climate. Really? So what's the climate like there compared to here? And I say here, like America doesn't have drastically different climates as a country, right? Like the South is significantly warmer than the North. There's snow and desert and forest, and like it's super humid down here, but it's only humid during the summer up in like the northern part of the country. And the desert is just cold and hot at the same time, which is phenomenal. So like, so a humid climate makes people shorter? That doesn't check out down here. Because it is flabbergasting how tall people are. Like kids these days. I've got a kid that I was training Taekwondo with my boys, right? This kid was 14 and he was 6'4". I didn't go deep, just the front page. So yeah. Hang on a second though. Okay, they said climate. Is this a climate change hoax thing, or like did someone actually do research on this? Because like if they blame the climate for people being short, I swear I'm gonna go off the deep end. Because they blame climate for just about everything else. This is going to get me in trouble, but I just typed, why are Asians shorter than other races in Google? Oh. Interesting. So the average height of Asian populations is often compared to that of Europeans, with Asians being generally shorter. However, this difference is not solely due to genetics, but also influenced by environmental factors such as nutrition and healthcare. For instance, the average height of a Swedish man increased from 167.4 centimeters in the 1840s to 180.2 centimeters in 2004, largely due to improvements in nutrition and healthcare. Nutrition plays a significant role in determining height. A poor diet, especially during childhood, can lead to stunted growth. As dietary conditions improve, the average height of populations tends to increase. This is evident in East Asian countries like China and South Korea, where the average height has been rising over the past century. So that's interesting. And I guess that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Right? Okay. Take climate. I go with the climate. So when you say the same as here, OAG, like what reference point are you using? Like, are we talking the Midwest? Are we talking the Southeast? Are we talking the West? Because if it's the West, ain't nobody like fires. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody want to do with that. Yo, Peachy! Holy crap, it's Dad! That it is. Hi, Peachy. Welcome on in from YouTube. Good to see you. Okay, so Changsha is similar to Missouri. Guangzhou is similar to Florida, and Beijing is similar to DC. Is it similar because of the politics, or similar in like the weather? What the heck's you been up to, Peachy? We have been up to all the things. I have been up to creating a new company, Rick Tactical Gear, making, well, tactical gear. Plate carriers and chest rigs and all the things. We have been homesteading for the last 3 years, so the garden is kicking into full speed. So we have been prepping the garden, getting the greenhouse ready, starting starts. We've been starting starts inside, but I'm hoping to use the greenhouse here shortly to be able to do starts. I don't have to pay for eggs, which is wonderful, especially right now. We did just lose a girl tonight, though, which was weird. One of our chickens just died. Didn't look sick, wasn't acting funny, and just passed away. It was very weird. So I had to bury a chicken tonight, which was not fun. I don't like to do that. That's not fun. But it's part of homesteading. You're gonna lose birds. Some of our ladies are getting on to 3 years old now. We've had them for the last 3 years, and so I've been saying for a while it's expected at this point. Our birds are extremely well taken care of. We feed them really good food. They get all of the table scraps. They have what I call the chicken mansion. If you haven't checked out the biggest raised chicken coop on the internet, on my YouTube channel, I built them a pretty sweet palace. So they have very good amenities. As far as living quarters and food and water and all that goes. So they have a pretty cushy life. I am on Twitch too right now. Yep. I'm multi-streaming. I have to figure out why I couldn't stream on X, because I was going to stream on Twitter too, because at this point it don't matter. I could be live on everything. I do want to. I think I probably have to have verification, and I don't know that I want to pay for that right now. I'm trying to keep my overhead low from a company standpoint. But at the same time, I'm looking to invest, I'm looking to pick up fabric and stuff so I can start sewing again, because right now I'm running low on a lot of key materials that you need to build these things. And so I want to get some made and in stock on the website so that folks can purchase them if they're interested. I'm gonna see if I don't think I have that set up yet. I should probably have that set up. Yeah, I don't think I have that set up. No, I don't want to pin that message. I want to delete that message. Oh well. I'm going over there so I can say hi to everyone. Sounds good. We'll see you in a hot second. But yeah, I gotta see about. I haven't set a schedule, and I'm not going to set a schedule just because I don't know what my schedule is going to look like. Honestly, between coaching, I'm coaching 6U baseball this spring. between that and the homestead, working full time, attending my other hello stinky butts, attending my older son's baseball games, between that and trying my best to support my wife in homeschooling the kids, we just have a lot going on. So I've been very hesitant to yo Crusader, welcome on in. Thank you for hitting that follow button and becoming a member of the So Shed. If you could meet anyone from the Bible that wasn't Jesus, who would it be and why? King David. King David, straight up. Like, as a warrior goes, obviously was like, I love an underdog. I feel like his reign was extremely consequential in the overall biblical story. Job would be interesting for sure as well. Like, I would have a really hard time not feeling sorry for that dude. Like, to lose everything in the way that he did, except his wife, which I find really interesting. I saw a comedy skit from a pastor the other day where he was like, man, Job's wife must have really been a piece of work. For him to lose all of his children and all of his wealth and all of his livestock, but the devil chose to keep his wife around. Like, what? But David, because his faith was incredible, but he also had his flaws, and like the whole thing with Bathsheba, and I feel like it would be very, very interesting to have a conversation with him at near the end of his life with all that he saw. But there's so many good characters. Like, there's so many awesome stories. In like, how do you pick one person to talk to? Solomon, the wisest man on ever to live. Like, how about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Like, come on, those dudes walked through a 7-time, like, they walked through a furnace that burned up the guards that were trying to stoke it. And they walked with Jesus before Jesus was a thing. Like, how awesome would that be? Like, to be like, yeah, King, you could throw me in that fire, but I don't care. Noah would be interesting. Moses, like, to see Moses come off the mountain with a face so radiant that it was scary. Like, just so many good, so many people. there's so many people. Choosing one just doesn't seem fair. What about you, Crusader? You said Job personally. Why? Peachy, how have you been? It's really good to see you. What have you been up to? I like, there are so many interesting stories, and I don't know, picking one just doesn't seem fair. Any man that can go through what Job went through is worth meeting. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. What I think what I struggled with the most, especially with the Old Testament, was is the fact that, like, his friends were like, what'd you do wrong? And he's like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, to have that kind of judgment, like not only did you lose all of your family besides your wife, you lost all of your belongings, you lost all of your livestock, all of your wealth, like everything was gone, you're covered in sores and boils. And then to have your friends turn their back on you too and be like, you obviously you're not as righteous as you think you are because you did something wrong. Come to find out, not really. I don't know. I just, it does speak to the dichotomy of hills and valleys, though. The fact that God is faithful through all of it. Like, it doesn't matter if you're going through the lowest of lows or the highest of highs. He's there and faithful through it all if you seek him. Yeah, it's definitely it's a heart-wrenching story. It's a heart-wrenching story. What is that noise? Was that actually my microphone? That's really bizarre. I don't know what's going on there. Knock, knock. Who's there? My mic was making some very odd noises. Strange. Anyway, squirrel. I'm pretty good at that. Being a squirrel. Getting distracted. What would you ask Job if you had a chance to meet him? What question would be burning in your mind to ask him about? That's what I want to know. I read a book and I read the same paragraph 3 times because I forgot to pay attention. That has been like, I'm not a reader. Never have been. Like, if I'm reading anything, I'm probably reading an article or, something like that. The one exception has actually been, I'm just now finishing up my year through the Bible. So I've never read the Bible front to back or cover to cover. This was actually this last year has been my first read through. I'm finishing up Psalms is my last book. And the way that this reading plan set it out, actually held my attention really, really well. Because I'm not one of those guys that can read, that can just sit down and read a book. That being said, I have read plenty of books with the kids. Like, we read with the boys every night when we put them to bed. And so my oldest is actually reading at like a high school level right now as a fourth grader. He's 10. I don't actually know what grade he's in because we homeschool and it's not like he's ahead. We'll put it that way. And my wife does most of the homeschooling, so I just help where I'm asked to help. How does one keep going, even in the face of what you went through? Most people will quit at the halfway point. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, who wouldn't want to walk themselves up a mountain and throw yourself off the cliff? Given the circumstances. But again, that's what's so incredible about the God that we serve, is that even when it's really bad, we have someone who's there for us. Here in Michigan, good night. Peachy, have an awesome night. It was really good to see you. I hope you're well. Stay safe out there. And yeah, this will not be the last time I'm live. I don't know when I'll be live next. It seems to oftentimes land on a Thursday. For whatever reason, Thursday seems to be the sweet spot when it comes to actually streaming. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't joined the Discord, or if you're not in the Discord, some people have left the Discord. Some people got kicked out of the Discord. That was a while ago though. But yeah, stay tuned or follow me on the socials. Either way, I'll let you know when I go live, at least on X. And then I'm gonna figure out how to stream on there too. We'll see. But yeah, it was good to see you. I'm not the most well-read man, so my way of getting around it was this. When I was at the gym, right, I'd listen to the audio Bible. Yeah. I do love the Bible app for that, for sure. Yes, agreed with that. I prefer audiobooks. We've actually started, so we have a 16-hour drive home, 16 to 18 hours. When we go home twice, I call it home. We go back to our hometown in Wisconsin from the Southeast twice a year. And so we've got a 16 to 18 hour drive that we make twice a year. And we've actually started listening to audiobooks. And the boys have really started to enjoy that too. They get really excited. We went through the Islanders series, and then I'm gonna get shamed for this as a Christian. But we've listened to the Harry Potter. We've listened to a couple of the Harry Potter books. Yeah, I get it. Shame away. Magic and sorcery and witchcraft, and I get it. We've had the conversation with our boys that this isn't real, and that if you encounter that in real life, run the other way. It's not a good thing. I know that it's romanticized and that it's meant to desensitize us to the spiritual warfare that occurs here in our lives, but they're entertainment. We enjoy them, and sue me. I don't believe in sheltering our boys to what's out there, and so taking the opportunity of providing context to the things that they're going to experience regardless, I think is more important than just saying, no, that's off limits because it's bad, and then they're going to go do it eventually anyway, and now you don't have any control over it at that point. You don't have any way to set expectations and to give them the ability to understand it in the realm of their faith. And so I think that it's important to address some of the things that kids are going to experience before they experience them, so that you give them the tools to prepare them for those things. Do you guys have a unique drink? I hear Americans like sweet tea. Yes. Boys only learn from strength and hurting themselves. I mean, I like to think that, like, doing our family devotional and the time that they spend at, so when we do our small groups on Wednesday nights, they're in midweek, you know, they're learning about Jesus and all that at the same time that we are. I like to think that it's not just the mistakes they make. In the UK, we drink something called gunfire tea. Yeah, sweet tea is the thing down here, and I didn't realize it was a thing until we moved here, But the Southeast sweet tea is yes. They're literally putting in a Milo's sweet tea plant in our town. So what makes what is gunfire tea? Is that like what we Americans threw in the drink when we weren't happy with y'all? Was that gunfire tea? I kid. But what is gunfire tea? I'm curious what this entails. Is it Friday? No, it's not Friday yet. Well, maybe it's Friday where you are. Oh, rum and tea, a tradition from World War II. It's what the officers gave the men before a trench charge. I can think of worse things to down before you going into a battle. All right. Rum and tea. What kind of tea though? Like we talking like black tea, we talking green tea, we talking calm tea, we talking... If there was ever a time for rum, ain't that the truth? Yeah, if there was ever a time that you were gonna have rum, it's right before I'm gonna go into battle and possibly die. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I can't disagree with that. But if you've got a favorite drink, so I don't even know that I would. I'm trying to decide if sweet tea would be like my favorite drink. Yo, what's up, Unknown? Boom, baby, shoot something. I don't have any loaded guns in here right now. I have guns in here. I just don't have loaded guns in here. They're actually in the other room. I probably should have one in here. I mean, I have the ability to load one right now, but yo, what's up? Okay, hang on a second. Hold the phone. What's up? What's up, Energy? How are you? Oh, you're on YouTube. Oh, I was like, that makes sense now. That makes sense. I was like, that's not your name. The British like tea so much, their tanks come with standard issue kettles. So hang on a second. You're telling me that the inside of a tank has a kettle in it so that you can make tea? You're doing good. Yo, I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, yes. I have the ability to... You can see we're on safe. No bullets. I think you could see that. We're completely empty. No mag. No bullets. Bullets here. Not gonna load it. But I do have the ability to... I do have the ability to go boom, boom, bang if I had to. I mean, I've also... You know... We've We can make the bang bangs happen if you'd like. Maybe at some point I'll do a live, I'll do a stream from the, range. Oh, they're all real. Oh, they're all real. Absolutely. I have not gotten around to, I thought it was a prop. Oh, no. I make this stuff for real. There's real ballistic plates in here. I have a real radio packed. I have a full med kit on. Not a prop. No, this is, I built this. I sewed this. Here. this is what I normally am doing. So I don't have a lot of fabric. You can see, hold please. You can see I'm starting to, I disconnected the camera. Hang on, let me plug it back in quick. You can see I'm starting to run low on the essentials. I don't have a lot of Velcro and a lot of material left to actually make the things that I would normally be making. But I've got a, this is normally what we're doing when I'm streaming, is I'm normally sewing stuff. I don't know, I don't think that's how I wanted it. I think I want it about right. About right there. Oh no, I did it again! Come on. Plug the cable is short. So I need to figure that out. But anyway, yeah. No, I said face only, not face main. There we go. Cool. So normally, yeah, I totally put that in the wrong place. I think it's supposed to be back there. But anyway, I've got a, this is a full ballistic kit. So I've got these got first spear tubes. I have pads on underneath here. This has got a level 4 ceramic armor plate in it. I have got a level 4 ceramic armor plate on the back as well. This is the kit that I train in. This is the kit that if anyone ever decided that they were going to attempt to rob my place or harm my family, this is the kit I would wear to stop them from doing that. But yeah, I've got a full IFAK med kit with chest seals and gauze and trauma dressings, quick clot, all of that kind of stuff. The one thing I don't have on my kit right now, but is in my pocket all the time, is TQ, is a tourniquet. But I've got trauma shears and all the things in my dangler pouch. And then I just run a simple Baofeng radio because it's the lowest point of entry into communications with people around us. I am not so concerned. I'm not in an area where I'm concerned that there's a high chance that my family is in danger of dying. There are definitely crackheads who live in the area, but I'm not overly concerned about it. This is more, for me, more prepared citizen. I believe that if it's not going to happen in my lifetime, highly likely going to happen in my kid's lifetime, that we are either going to find ourselves with combatants on U.S. soil, or there's enough civil unrest and other things that have happened even in the last 8 years that warrant me having equipment. And I do believe that citizens should be prepared to fight if we needed to. Do I think that there's going to be some sort of Red Dawn scenario where China or Russia or someone is going to parachute in and do the things? I think that's a pretty low chance. I think there's a much higher chance that a hurricane will come through this area, completely annihilate everything, and then people, after 3 days of no food and water, start panicking and try to start stealing stuff. Might know a thing or two about that, because October wasn't that long ago. There's been 300 firebombs in your city in the last 2 years. That's crazy to me. Yeah. There were people looting right down the street, and we live in the country. Like, there's a Dollar General and a gas station right down the road. That's the only store within 10 minutes of us. And that place was getting looted 3 days into the hurricane, being with the power being out. So we were all of 3 minutes away from them trying to come and loot us. But I do think that at least where we live, a lot of folks know that most folks are armed in one way or another, and so like looting people's houses, I think, is more last resort type stuff. People have to be pretty darn desperate or high to go about doing stupid things like that. But that being said, I still, like, the world is crazy enough that I believe that we are called to serve and protect and provide for our families and our communities. And there is as a mandate from the Lord, I take seriously not being a hindrance to those around me, right? So if I really hope that I don't ever have to don this or ever have to aim a gun at a human being, because that would be horrible. I don't have any desire to do that. I would rather just stay on my family compound and leave us be, right? But I also I'm also a realist, and I know that the world is a dangerous place, and so I should be equally prepared to be as dangerous as the world around me. And so that means knowing how to having my kit, knowing how to use my kit, and being prepared to serve my family and my community in the ways that they need me to serve. Whether that's handing out food for people, whether that's physical protection, whether that's spiritual protection. Like, I'm just as down to pull you out of the ditch as I am to pray for you, as I am to take a bullet for you if there's someone trying to do bad things to you. It's all part of the same, what I consider the same ethos, right? I would simply suggest we have to be careful with the word provider. So what's your caution with the word provider? Okay. And I agree with you that provider is absolutely not exclusive to money. And the funny thing is that neither is protector. And that was a really hard realization I had to come to about 1.5 years ago. I realized that I had been so focused on the physical protection aspect of my family that I had completely neglected to provide them any spiritual protection. And that was a big mistake. Big mistake. One that is slowly being corrected. Slowly being corrected over time. Because it takes time to build your ability to be a spiritual protector. And spiritual protection takes a lot of different forms, at least from what I've experienced personally. Spiritual protection is praying over your house and your family. Spiritual protection is building your children up in the ways of the Lord so that they won't stray when they're older. And there's no guarantee that they won't, right? again, the realist in me knows that it doesn't matter what kind of, like, how much of a foundation I set them up for, there's always a chance that they'll walk away from the faith. There's always a chance they'll walk away from Jesus. I don't have any control over that. What I do have control over is ensuring that they know who Jesus is, why he should be your Lord and Savior. And I hope that they make that choice. My oldest is kind of right at that age, where I think he's old enough to make that choice. But ultimately, it's his choice. Provider in Genesis listed towards points to Christ being the ultimate provider, notably in salvation. Yes. A way, guide, next step. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's I think I feel like I've been on a very heavy spiritual journey the last year and a half, right? Like you said, a lot of my provision has been in the financial and physical protection realms, making sure that we're prepared, right? And being a prepper in this day and age, especially a Christian prepper, you could get sucked so far down the rabbit hole of, well, I got to have this gear, and I have to have this stuff, and I have to have this much food, and I have to have this much water, and I have to have all of this, but then you neglect to read your kids the Bible. You neglect to teach them how to be kind and empathetic to others. You failed to teach them the importance of knowing when to use your strength and when not to use your strength. When to and having control of your emotions. Like, that has been a huge thing that, like, and I'm not awesome at it because, like, I'm human. I struggle with patience, just like any other parent. And it can get really easy to get angry and to yell and to say, I'm your father and you're going to listen to me. But realizing that there's more value in being like, I see that you have big emotions right now. Let's talk about it. There's a time and a place for everything. And teaching them the time and the place as much as I possibly can before they leave my house is like the goal. Inadvertently, when you prep so much, you're showing them what is most valuable. And not just that, but here's the other thing. There's a balance in everything, right? I do believe that we should be prepared in specific ways. I think you should have enough food on hand to be able to last a month if you had to, right? Like, we just went through Hurricane Helene. It was 10 and a half days without power. My in-laws were 11 and a half days without power. Like, we could have gone another 10 days without power fairly easily with the provision that we had. But there's also a level of provision that you have to trust in the Lord to provide as well, right? And so there's that weird oxymoron that as a Christian, we're called the birds of the air and the fish of the sea don't have barns to store up their provisions in, and yet they still are fine. Are you not more important than the birds of the air and the fish of the sea? But he also doesn't call us to have idle hands, right? We're not called to just sit and say, oh, God will provide, I don't have to do anything. That's the other extreme of that spectrum that it's just not what we're called to do. We are called to put our hand to the plowshare. We are called to wield the sword when necessary. We're called to feed the widows and the orphans and to care for them. Like it's a balance with everything. Yes, we work hard because we are gods, and we work hard for the people we care about because they are a blessing from God, and those that don't provide for their own are worse than an unbeliever, right? Like we've been given everything we need. We've been given everything we need right here. Like this is all we need. However, in all we need, we've been given the instructions of the life that we're supposed to lead. And I think that's where a lot of people yo, what's up, Cody? How you doing? Oh, it's been a while. How you doing? Oh, we're good. We're having a blast. Me and Energy are getting real philosophical right now. We're getting real spiritual, and it feels really good. But yeah, I firmly believe that this is all we need. At the same time, God has provided us with provisions that we are to be good stewards of as well. And I do believe that he stewards his possessions, because all of this, everything you see here, is his. He stewards his possessions to the stewards that will be good stewards of that. It was not my most articulate point in all of this conversation. But the steward of all will provide for his stewards the things that they need to make sure that those around them are taken care of. If you're willing to listen to how you're supposed to steward them. Hopefully that hit home. The steward does steward things. Yes. And the grand steward, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, Yahweh Elohim, will provide for those that provide for others, because that's his calling. Towards his fickle, unfaithful people that are all sinners and all fall short of the glory of God. Yes. Yes. And it can be really hard when you've reached a level of spiritual maturity to where the majority of your sin issues are like internal. It's heart posture stuff, right? I find that to be probably one of my bigger challenges, is recognizing when my heart posture's wrong, because I might not be like blatantly sinning, right? I'm not out doing drugs or drinking or killing people or stealing things. Like I'm not doing those outward sins. And it's not to say that those sins are any worse than the sins I have with the heart posture issues. Yeah, just cussing, being mean to your wife. Yeah, absolutely. I actually struggle, like around certain people, I cuss more. And I struggle with that because, like, when someone is that way, I have such an empathy of wanting to meet people where they're at that I get caught up in that, right? And that's definitely something that I have to repent more often than I care to admit. but I feel like the heart posture sins are the ones that are really challenging to repent for, because sometimes you don't even realize until like a week later you're like, oh man, I was being a real dick. I should probably repent for that. And it's not because I said anything to anybody, but it was how I felt about that person at the time. And that person is a child of God just like I am. I shouldn't be treating them, or like even in my own feelings, treating them badly. Even if I like, judgment's a horrible thing. That's the one I find myself struggling with, I think, the most out of everything, is that it's so easy to just judge other people. Yes, image bearer. Yes, fair. I did use child of God and image bearer interchangeably, and those are absolutely two different things. I shouldn't use those two things. I couldn't, honestly, I couldn't think of the term image bearer. That's what I was thinking of when I said that. Yes, good call out. It is definitely a challenge to see other people, and it can be so easy to be like, they ended up there because of this, and we have no idea why they actually ended up there, right? Like you see the homeless dude. You see the homeless dude on the side of the road, and you're like, why don't you just go get a job? You have no idea what that person's going through, how they got to where they got. No clue. How in the world are you, how are you in any position to judge that person? How about you go feed them instead? we are, as a family, we are being fed big time. We are being fed big time. Our church is growing like crazy. And that has implications, right? I'm encouraged by that, because bringing people in is always a good thing. Growing the family is always a good thing. But there are challenges that come along with that as well. And so I have been praying for our pastoral staff and leadership to stay the course as we continue to grow. Continue to be a Bible preaching, a Bible preaching, growing, evangelistic church. I want our church to be alive. I want our church to reach the people who need to be reached. We're actually walking through Revelation right now, and that is such a rich text. It is such a rich text. It's unbelievable. We're playing in the kiddie pool right now. we're in the first chapter, and we're step by step in it. Like, we're going through. We've only made it through verse 16. I want to read something to y'all, because this stuck out to me as we were looking at this. John's testimony in Revelation is so vivid that I feel like people have a really hard time wrapping their minds around it. But his description of Jesus with the churches and the lampstands. So Revelation 1:9, I, John, your brother and companion in the suffering and kingdom and patient endurance that are ours in Jesus, was on the island of Patmos because of the word of God and the testimony of Jesus, which, for those of you who don't realize, Patmos was actually like a prison island. He had been he had been sent there because he had been evangelizing and sharing the testimony of Jesus. And so he was technically, I guess, in prison almost while writing this. On the Lord's Day, I was in the Spirit. We got to talk. By the way, I want to know what you think the Lord's Day is. Is it Saturday or Sunday? I'm part of, we don't call ourselves Southern Baptists, but it was interesting because they said one of the two, and I disagreed with it, but that's neither here nor there. I was in the Spirit, and I heard behind me a loud voice like a trumpet, which said, "Write on a scroll what you see and send it to the 7 churches: Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea." I turned around to see the voice that was speaking to me, and when I turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands, and among the lampstands was someone like a son of man, dressed in a robe reaching down to his feet, with a golden sash around his chest. The hair on his head was white as wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were like blazing fire. His feet were like bronze glowing in a furnace, and his voice was like the sound of rushing waters. In his right hand he held 7 stars, and coming out of his mouth was a sharp double-edged sword. His face was like the sun, shining in all its brilliance. And I always struggled with the literal representation of the double-edged sword coming out of his mouth. And I actually kind of had like this epiphany as we were in our small group going through this last night. And I was like, a man, John, seeing this and describing it. A lot of people think of the double-edged sword as, you know, the separating of bone and marrow. It's the sword of judgment. It's the words that he is speaking. But I almost feel like that's not what he was actually seeing. I feel like he was seeing Commander Jesus coming down from the clouds. And I don't think the sword was coming out of Jesus's mouth. Picture this, roll with me. White robes with the golden sash. He's coming down out of the clouds with the 7 stars in his hand, but his face was as bright as the sun, which means you really couldn't see much. But what you could see was the sword of truth in his hand as he was coming down out of the clouds with the 7 stars. And it wasn't actually his tongue, but he was holding a physical sword, ready to pass judgment on the earth. And then I realized that Jesus was left-handed. Because in his right hand he was holding the stars of the 7 churches, and in his left hand he was actually holding the sword, pointing it at John as he was coming out of the clouds. Because his face was as bright as the sun, but he could still see the sword. And I picture Commander Jesus, because this is not the meek and mild Jesus that walked the earth and was slain for our sins and hung on that cross. This is Commander Jesus, who is now leading his army against Satan and all of the demons on earth. And he's coming to pass judgment. And that sword of judgment, I don't think is actually going to come out of his mouth. I think he's holding it. And he's coming. And your opportunity is now to choose to follow him and not what the world tells you. Your opportunity's now, because he's coming. And there's absolutely nothing that anyone can do about that except accept him. Oh yeah. Jesus was not an imposing man when he walked this earth. Jesus showed what a servant truly was. He was the low of the low, if you will. And even though he was powerful beyond all belief and able to do miracles and raise people from the dead and heal the blind and the sick and had all of that power, he didn't walk like he had that power. He was not a Goliath of a man. He did not walk into a room and command your attention in the way that a man like Goliath would walk into a room and command your attention. He definitely still commanded your attention because his wisdom was beyond everything that we could understand. But it was interesting the way our pastor pulled out Commander Jesus and what our battle orders are was phenomenal. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that because it gave us a sense of urgency to the time and the fact that we don't know the time. But it also encouraged me because it's really, it's much easier to get behind Commander Jesus as a man who is willing to fight for what he believes in, physically or otherwise. Getting behind Commander Jesus is like, I'm in. I'm all in. Not that I wasn't all in when he was meek and mild Jesus, but like, I don't know, man, there's something that gets you fired up when you know that Commander Jesus is coming down from the clouds with a sword and a shield of the 7 churches and is coming to do what he is going to do. So pretty much every description he has of Jesus are all allusions of Old Testament past. John would have had he would have had an incredible grip on, I mean, he was the disciple that was loved by Jesus, right? Like, for all intents and purposes, most biblical scholars agree that he was the disciple Jesus loved, right? And so, to be clear, I obviously don't think Jesus holding a literal sword. You don't think so? You don't think he's going to hold a literal sword and slay demons the way that the Archangel Michael did? I don't know, man. I think he might be holding the sword. I think he might be holding the sword. I have a hard time fathoming, like, I know that John, when he wrote, I know that when he wrote this, he said, like, a lot. But if you notice, it didn't look like he said, he didn't say, he said, like the sound of rushing waters, but he was very adamant that in his right hand, he held 7 stars, and coming out of his mouth was a sharp double-edged sword, like, and his face was like the sun shining in all its brilliance. I don't know. I feel like he might be coming with a shield and a sword, ready to battle. Whether he's battling, like, I don't think he's going to take the lives of humans with that sword. But I think he might slay demons. I think he might slay demons. Literally. I don't know. It's just, and again, like, this is the fun of learning this, right? Is that we all have our own interpretations. I struggle with the idea of a sword actually physically coming out of his mouth. That to me, like, that imagery doesn't hold, and I understand, like, if I were to take this as if I were to take this as a metaphorical vision, I can see what the sword would represent coming out of his mouth. I get that those are the words of truth and the judgment that Jesus is going to dole out when he comes. But these visions he had, he was describing a physical scene. And I struggle with the idea that Jesus's tongue was actually a sword. I feel like it would be much more representative that Jesus was holding a sword in such a way that looked like it might have been coming out of his mouth, but because his face was shining brilliant like the sun, it was very clear that he was holding the 7 stars in his hand. Perspective would tell me that he was holding a sword in his hand at the right angle to make it look like it was coming out of his mouth, but it wasn't actually coming out of his mouth. Just my interpretation of it. What's up, Shadeless? How you doing, brother? Hey, congrats on the editing gig. Can you share details? Like the Son of Man as wool. Yep. White as wool, as white as snow, like fiery flames, like bronze, like waters. His face like the sun. Yes. But the stars and the sword were not likes, right? Can you share details, Shadeless, on the gig? What you doing now? You're still in North Carolina, right? I don't know. That was the picture that I had in my head when, like, and I didn't have it until we were talking in small group. And it's interesting because we talked about the fact that John, a human being, had to reference things that he was familiar with to try to describe them and write them on a scroll. Right? So the description of a man with bronze feet and with their images describing spiritual realities. Okay. So, what is the value of an actual sword coming out of his mouth? If we're talking about spiritual realities, and I love this, like, neither one of us knows what John's actually saw, right? And so we're interpreting John's, and it's not John's interpretation, right? He was just describing what he saw. He's not actually interpreting what he's not telling us that the sword represents the words of truth, or that the 7 stars represent the churches, or any, like, he's not giving us an actual interpretation. He's simply observing and writing what he saw. So, like, it's up to us to interpret, if you will, as best we can, and only as far as it matters, right? Because does it matter if it's actually a sword coming out of his mouth or if he's holding it like this? Not really. It represents the same thing. I think we would both agree that it represents the judgment that's coming, right? Oh yeah, you're right. The lampstands mean the church and the stars mean the angels. Which would be interesting because I feel like he's ready to deploy those angels. Like, he's going to go straight Captain America with those stars and just chuck them out, and it's going to be slaying demons all over the place. But I think we would agree. I think we would agree that the sword represents the judgment that's coming, right? Whether he's holding it in his left hand or it's actually coming out of his mouth. It's just fun to discuss. It's fun to imagine what John was actually experiencing in his time on Patmos, right? Where he was basically transported from Patmos to wherever he was. He will divide. Yeah, agreed with that wholeheartedly. Yep. I'll be working for a company editing their commercials in Tampa. So hang on, Shadeless. Does that mean you have to move to Tampa now from North Carolina? It's exciting because it's God's word. Yes, the fair. I don't disagree with that point either. It's exciting because we have a God who has given us a promise that he's coming back. I think that's what excites me most. Like, I have my apprehensions simply because I want my sons and the people I love to make the choice before he comes, right? That's probably one of my bigger, I don't necessarily want to call it anxiety, but a little bit of anxiety, is that those around me have made the choice to follow him and aren't going to mourn, because when every eye sees him coming down on the clouds, there will be a lot of mourning, because there's going to be a lot of people who know exactly who that is and realize they were wrong and that the opportunity is now past to make the choice for Jesus. I just hope that's not any of the people I love or anyone who I encountered that I had an opportunity to share the gospel with and didn't. Because that's going to be the guilt that's going to be the guilt and the I don't even know how to describe it. That's the accounting I don't want to have to deal with. Having to account for that isn't going to be fun. Because I know for a fact that in my 41 years of life, there are opportunities I've missed to share the gospel with someone who needed it. But I know that there's been a lot of opportunities that I've had to share the gospel with people who have needed it that I have done too. And so I guess that gives me a little bit of peace and solace in knowing that there have been people who have learned more about Jesus because we hung out. Which this is like, so we just went through Exodus, actually, and I can't fathom, and it's so easy to sit back here and judge, right? Like, Father, forgive me, for I have sinned. But like, you witnessed Moses part the seas, you witnessed the 10 plagues, you witnessed Pharaoh's heart hardened and his son killed, and God deliver you out of Egypt, time and through time after time after time, through all of these things, and it didn't take you but 40 days before you were whining and complaining and not believing in God. You literally get to the mountain and Moses says, wait here, I'll be back after I'm done talking to God. And 40 days later, he walks down the mountain with the tablets, and you, your brother, and all of those people have fashioned a golden calf and have started worshiping that. 40 days, dude, after everything you've seen? What? How can you see these things and not believe? I just don't, I can't. Like, how? Oh man. There's a pattern for us today. Yeah, exactly. But wholeheartedly, we literally. I saw God work yesterday, but man, I'm gonna go to work and I'm gonna. You have a job. Be grateful. You ungrateful sinner. I'm talking to myself here, right? Like, we're all clear that I'm the sinner that we're talking about. The guy who complains about having to go to work, like, but I've got a job that pays the bills and takes care of my family and does all the things. Like, yeah, I'm the guy. I'm the guy I'm talking about. I'm Israel after he parted the sea. Go figure. So, anywho, it's like 11 o'clock. I do have to get up and go to this job that I'm grateful for tomorrow. It's been a really good talk, guys. It's been a really good talk. Getting to share the gospel is always a treat, and getting to discuss the gospel with other believers where two or more are gathered in my name is always a treat. So I appreciate y'all engaging and hanging out and doing the things. Yo, I pray for that. Is there anything that y'all need prayer for? Drop it in the chat. I'd be happy to pray for you tonight. Yeah, agreed. I'm glad we got to chat. It was a good one. I still think he's coming with a sword, dude. I think he's gonna slay demons with a sword, and we're gonna get to witness it, and it's gonna be awesome. I'm just saying. I think he's gonna slay demons, and it's gonna be epic. I can't fathom him doing the Gene Simmons and just with his mouth sword, and he's just no mouth sword. It doesn't make any sense. The only way I'm gonna give you the mouth sword is if he's like shooting swords out of his mouth, and he's just slaying demons just straight up like Hela did in Thor Ragnarok, where she like had the swords and she was just like chucking. She had the array of swords that were just getting chucked all over the place. That's the only way I'm going with sword out of the mouth. I'm telling you, he's got a sword and he's gonna slay demons. It's gonna be awesome. He's like the size of buildings in this. And we can't see him anyway because we don't have sunglasses, and his face is beaming like lasers coming out of his face. Maybe they were actually lasers coming out of his face. Maybe he's slaying demons with lasers. Just hear me out here. I don't think Jesus had lasers. I'm just saying. It would be cool though if Jesus had lasers. Laser Jesus. Commander Jesus with lasers and swords. It's going to be great. Except for people who don't believe, then it's not going to be great. But for us, it's going to be awesome. So, looking forward to Laser Jesus. All right, y'all. Yeah. I guess I should probably be like, hey, go follow me on X and Insta and Facebook. Stay tuned to what's going on with Rick Tactical. I have updated prices on the website. If you're interested in kitting yourself out and being ready to serve, protect, and provide for your family and your community, do the things. RickTacticalGear.com. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this conversation and you want to have more Bible conversations, we do have a Discord. Discord.gg/dad is a thing still. And yeah, need prayer for. I'm about to start a discipleship class, and we are praying that this class would cultivate deep unity and joy for our people. I will pray for that. That sounds awesome. Do you have a plan for that discipleship class on, like, are you going through a curriculum of some sort? Do you have a book that you're walking through? Anything like that? What is the gospel? I want to check it out quick. Greg Gilbert. Cool. Awesome. Well, very good. I will be praying for that for you for sure. If you ever do a men's group, if you haven't done the Titus 10 yet, that book was my life-changing moment. Not that this book isn't life-changing, but we did a men's group, the Titus 10. Yeah. Hang on. I actually bought the book for my brother, who was not a believer at the time, but recently became one. And that was awesome. The Titus 10 Foundations for Godly Manhood by J. Josh Smith. Oh, yeah, you're not gonna be able to see that. Yeah, J. Josh Smith. Yep. That book was revolutionary. Yeah, praise God. My brother has been a long time prayer, and now his wife, my sister's husband, and my son are all daily prayer requests for me, for their salvation. So those are the ones that are heavy on my heart, just because they're home. All my other family are, and my nieces. My oldest niece is there. My other nephew is not, and that's another one that I need to be praying about. But yep, in his time, laying his seeds. So, all right, y'all. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. If you like the combo, like I said, discord.gg/dad. Check out ricktacticalgear.com if you are interested in kit. I am actively making them. I am going to try to have some inventory on the site at some point in the near future. I don't know when that's going to look or when that's going to be, but here's hoping. I'd like to have a few chest rigs available for purchase right away and shipping right away. But I am always doing build to order stuff. So if y'all are interested in that, check that out. X, Instagram, Facebook, Rick Tactical Gear on all of those. And if you enjoyed this conversation, make sure you follow here, and we'll have them again in the near future. I don't know when, but sometime in the future, or here on YouTube, here on Twitch. I'm going to try and figure out X streaming and maybe stream on there too, but we're out here. We're praising God, bringing him all the glory. His will be done. With that, God bless y'all, and make sure that you continue to serve, protect, and provide for your family and for others. Have a great night. Stay safe, and we'll see y'all next time.